Total Excellium, the fuel that cleans your engine kilometer after kilometer. Total Excellium, the fuel that cleans your engine kilometer after kilometer. Total Excellium, the fuel that cleans your engine.
All too soon, the month of May is over.
Yeah.
It's been one of the best Mays I've experienced in my life, I tell you. Really, really blessed this month of May. And I look forward to June.
Yeah, the business month is coming. The business festival is coming.
Powerful.
I also like the fact that the literacy challenge is also coming.
Yeah.
It's going to be serious.
Opportunity to have fun while learning.
It's going to be a very, very serious learning time on this network. Let's go into the newspapers and see what they have for us.
Well, starting with the Ghanaian Times, President slams foreign mining firms for deplorable state of mining communities. Supreme Court awards 45,000 cedis compensation to teacher. Minority accuses government of breaching Petroleum Revenue Management Act, and Green Republic project to combat climate change takes off.
The Daily Graphic, state of Akwetia Takwa Obuasi, it's a disgrace to Ghana's development, according to the president. He was speaking at the Mining and Power Conference and Exhibition. Pay 45,000 Ghana cedis to wrongfully jailed teacher. Supreme Court orders government. 18 royals of Tafo in Kumasi in the morgue for 13 years because of family disputes, and special supplement on banking.
Well, the Business Finder, Ghana's debt management strategy laudable, EcoBank research says it's time to produce mining inputs locally, says the president, and 4G light spectrum still available.
If you go to the Daily Guide, Kennedy, Japan fights a NAS. There is a campaign on social media, I am a NAS, people sharing their pictures and saying that they are rather Anas, just to give Anas some support. Now, First Lady cuts sword for Children's Hospital. EC finally holds meeting, and Bantama gang rapist jailed 7 years.
The Chronicle, family war rips Ghana Port and Harbour Authority apart. Cynicism, pessimism working against Ghana beyond aid, says an MP as Haruna Drusu demands timeline. Chamber of Freight Forwarders support Unipass, and President worried over poor state of mining communities.
The Daily Statesman says Rawlings Mills camps choose Kwesi B. This is the NDC flag bearership race. Ghana's oil will be utilized efficiently, Egbert Fable assures, and Asenso threatens to sue A+ for defamation. If you go to the Daily Graphic, there's a story that Esla has sued A+, and Asenso is also threatening to do same.
The new crusading guide, communities must benefit from mining, says the president. Ghana's oil revenue will be equally distributed, Egbert Fable assures, and single window increases port revenue.
The Daily Heritage, NDC fights NIA over exclusion of voters' ID in registration. Pictures of Anas fake GJA. Chief vows to reclaim dammed mining pits at Achim Moso, and gun welding students sent to Pantai Hospital.
The Today newspaper, Dainsu River in danger, and it shows a refuse dump along the bank of the Dainsu River on the front page. First Lady cuts sword for pediatric intensive care unit at Kolebu Teaching Hospital, and Medical and Dental Council waddles into the Obingfo Hospital saga.
The BNFT, single window increases revenue by 24%. Mobile money interoperability transactions on the rise, and missing gold. How Ghana lost over $6 billion in gold export revenue to major trading partners. If you go to the Graphic Business, government aids locals to dominate $4 billion downstream business in the oil and gas sector, and the end of a fruitful pioneering partnership.
Have you done the BNFT?
Yes.
Okay, so let me go to citynewsroom.com. Kumasi gang rape suspect jailed 7 years. Tamale Assembly places 9 p.m. curfew on minors. Parents to face prosecution. Also, First Lady not pursuing UGMC placard holding prosecutor case according to the aid. And student arrested for holding placard at a First Lady address. Now, GJ is condemning fake Anas photos, as you said, and wants 24-hour protection for Anas. Now, if you go to My Joy Online, leave Ghana for Togo if you can't stand Anas. MPP chairman fires back at Kennedy Ejepong. Also, I'll fight off any attempt to destroy me or Anas, according to Kweku Baku. And $1.5 million road safety education. Ghana being led by mad people again is a rejoinder on My Joy Online. If you go to citibusinessnews.com, GCB profit drops by 29% in 2017. Former BOG official denies Yoko invitation, and Energy Ministry pushes for increased local content. BBC's Africa page, Biafra shutdown cripples Nigerian cities, and Algeria seizes cocaine on container ship. Lots of things happening in Africa, my people. Let's get into the details, starting off with the Times.
Well, with the Ghanaian Times, we're going into mining, and the president has urged multinational mining firms in the country to be actively involved in the development of the communities where they operate. The president said the firms had been mining in communities such as Obuasi, Takwa, Prestia, amongst others, for decades, but the state of mining communities were very deplorable. Why is Obuasi not the most beautiful community in Ghana or in the world if it hosts the richest gold mine? Why do Takwa and Prestia not look like the golden towns they are? Why does Akwetia's appearance not reflect anything about the diamonds that have been taken from the soil all these years? The distressed state of mining communities is nothing short of a disgrace, and we must work to change the situation, the president said when he addressed the West African Mining and Power Conference in Accra yesterday. The president said that although the companies had made some efforts to improve the living conditions of the communities where they operate, more was required from them, and urged them to collaborate with the government to ensure sustainable development of the communities.
And the president at the event on the ban on small-scale mining said that the government is committed to fight illegal mining unabated, and dismissed claims that the illegal miners would not have any work to do if they were made to stop the canker. He said people engaged in illegal mining did so out of their desire for quick money and not necessarily out of lack of employment. The president gave an assurance that through its one district, one factory policy, the government would create jobs for the youth in all communities throughout the country. Now, the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources also spoke at the event, Mr. John Peter Amewu, and he said that the government had done a comprehensive value chain analysis with a view to empowering local firms to play active roles within the mining sector. The president of the Ghana Chamber of Mines, Mr. Kwame Adokofor, stressed that the availability and uninterrupted supply of power was crucial to the survival of the mining sector.
Well, coming to the business fine, and also at the events, the president said the time has come for mining companies operating in Ghana to begin producing locally many of the inputs they import, the inputs that they import from other countries. So according to the president, a large amount of spending by mining companies leaks from the domestic economy through the importation of several tools and equipment which Ghana has the capacity to produce. It's time to reverse this trend. Ghanaian entrepreneurs must be encouraged to work with the Ministry of Trade and Industry and the Chamber to identify opportunities in the value chain where indigenous companies can manufacture these products locally. So we went on to list some products such as caustic soda, activated carbon, and grinding medium that can be produced locally. And the mining sector, the president stressed, ought to be a captive market for the government's One District, One Factory initiative as well.
Now, there's an article on the front page of the BNFT by Gideon Sapon. The title of the article is Missing Gold, How Ghana Lost Over $6 billion in Gold Export Revenue to Major Trading Partners. Now, if you read the article very well, it says that bleeding revenue in trade with UAE, India, and Switzerland. It says an assessment of the trade data between Ghana and its three major gold trading partners, Switzerland, India, and the United Arab Emirates, revealed that over $6 billion worth of gold exports remain unaccounted for between 2013 to 2016. The figure would expectedly rise significantly if all export and import data between all of Ghana's gold trading partners were to be examined. For example, from 2013 to 2016, the gold import-export variance between Ghana and Switzerland amounted to over $3 billion. While Switzerland's gold import figures reveal that they had imported close to $7 billion worth of gold from Ghana, Ghana's official records indicated that an export value of a little over $3 billion had gone to Switzerland.
You know what's interesting? Yesterday, the lead story was that we had lost 1.8 billion cedis in petroleum revenue because of some tax irregularities. Now we're told that in the gold sector as well, we're losing money. I wonder whether somebody puts these figures together and tries to resolve the
You know,
issue.
we interviewed Ali Nacha on the story about the import-export variances in gold.
Yes.
We mentioned India, we mentioned the UAE, and we mentioned Switzerland. And that was in 2017 or 2016 when the people of Switzerland said that they had imported this value of gold.
Now
But
remember,
the people on our side,
but for me,
declared the
you
lower.
see, this is the thing. We know that we don't get as much as we ought to get from gold. The question is, what are we doing about it?
Yeah.
Are we just making an announcement and saying we are not happy? That's not, you see. So that's the real issue. And if you look at the amount of money we are supposedly losing in oil and gold, and then you see attempts to block so-called leakages in other sectors. Do you
the amount
understand?
of money we are
Now,
borrowing.
I want to stay with the BNFT. There are two stories I want you to bring to us. Single window, we are told, is increasing revenue, and then mobile interoperability also
On the
increased
rise.
transactions.
Okay, so single window increases revenue by 24%. This is page 3 of the BNFT. The story says that the implementation of the single window system has increased the government's revenue by 24% over the past 2 years, rising from 744 billion Ghana cedis in 2015 to 975 billion Ghana cedis in 2017. The Ghana Revenue Authority Customs Division's monthly import revenue performance data for the period has revealed. For the first 4 months of this year, the total amount of revenue realized from imports stands at 3.59 billion, a development that portends an increase in total revenue to be collected by the customs at the end of the year. I think we need to look at the first two figures very well, the 744 billion in 2015 and 975 billion in 2017. I don't know whether it's supposed to be 7.44 billion and 9.75, so I'll get the details of those figures. Now the story goes on to say that in the first form I've given you this, it represents an increase of 30%. Now the improved revenue performance depicts the synergy that has been built at the country's sea and airports by the various service providers to ensure a seamless process, reduce time and cost of doing business at the ports.
So why are they bringing the new one? Because this is historical figures, right? So if the single window is working, so why are they bringing Unipass?
Maybe from the analysis, Unipass will help us increase the revenue further. And
Meanwhile, mobile money interoperability transactions on the rise. That's also on the front page of the BNFC.
yes, it says fund transfers from one mobile network to another is recording a steady increase since mobile money interoperability came into being on 10th of May this year. This shows that there is increasing awareness and public confidence in the new system. In the first 7 days of mobile money interoperability, a total of 28,000 transfers valued at 2.3 million cedis were made. But the next 7 days, the total volume had gone up by about 30% to 36,000 transfers valued at 3.3 million Ghana cedis.
AJ, we are back to you.
Well, coming to the petroleum sector, and I'll give you a bit on the 4G light and as well on Unipass. So the CEO of the Petroleum Commission, Egbert Fable Jr., has stated the commission is committed to ensuring transparency and will be liaisoning with the stakeholders, including the media, to ensure efficient utilization of Ghana's petroleum. Mr. Fable has also stressed the need for more Ghanaians to take up some of the opportunities in the oil sector. He said this during a 2-day training workshop for media practitioners at the head office of the commission in Accra, and lamented that it was not right that after more than 10 years of oil exploration, the patronage of locals in the upstream sector of the oil business remained low, and the commission would ensure that this trend was reversed to deepen local content in the sector. Also coming to the business finder, and the 4G light spectrum is still available, according to the Deputy Minister of Communications, Mr. George Anda, who's indicated that there were still some spectrum blocks available, and urged telecom companies who are interested in further enhancement of their operations to take advantage of it. But the one story that's really sticking out to me is in the Chronicle, and where the Chamber of Freight Forwarders are supporting Unipass. So cracks are appearing within the ranks of freight forwarders of Ghana, which as a group had held a news conference in Accra to counter an earlier one that the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders, GIFF, hand over to the Unipass deal. So Mr. Dennis Amfor Sefa, president of the Chamber of Freight and Trade and leader of the conference, had supported the government's decision to abrogate the contracts of GCNet and West Blue so that the goods clearing process of at the ports will be contracted to Unipass. So we wish to state categorically that as a chamber, we are in full support of the Unipass. Currently, importers pay 1% of CIF as CCVR fee to West Blue, and went on to state some more details that say they are totally in support of Unipass.
Now, the graphic has a banking supplement today, but there's a couple of interesting stories there. Former banking supervisory head faces Iyoko over UT Capital Bank's collapse.
Yeah.
But if you come to citibusinessnews.com, he's denying Iyoko invitation. So Suleiman Mustafa reports in a graphic that the immediate past head of banking supervision of the BOG, Raymond Amanfu, has been summoned by the Economic and Organized Crime Office, Iyoko, to answer charges on his role in the collapse of UT and Capital Banks. The summoning follows a damning finding in an investigative report submitted to the BOG, which indicts Mr. Amanfu of culpability in the collapse of the two banks. Now, information gathered by the Daily Graphic suggests that the retired head of banking supervision is alleged to have charged and collected various sums of monies from the banks to alter feasibility reports to favor them. Graphic sources also allege that distressed banks that refused to pay the money to the supervisory department did not find favor with Mr. Amanfu. Now, the story says he is scheduled to appear before the body at 9:30 a.m. today, Thursday, 31st May, and will be grilled on the disbursement of liquidity support the central bank offered to the two collapsed banks. Now, when contacted, this is where Citi comes in. When we contacted him, he said he was yet to receive any such invitation. So, the story says he has not received any invitation to visit any Iyoko. But I'm sure as the time goes, we'll know.
Yeah.
So, we'll wait for how that pans out. Let's continue with...
Let's go to the Supreme Court. This is a story that has attracted my attention. Pay 45,000 Ghana cedis to wrongfully jailed teacher. Supreme Court orders government. Now, the story says the Supreme Court yesterday ordered the government to pay 45,000 cedis as compensation to Mr. Eric Asante, a teacher who was wrongfully jailed for 15 years on allegation of defiling and impregnating a 14-year-old student. In a unanimous decision, the 5-member panel of the court also ordered the government to pay all the salaries and allowances Mr. Asante lost during his 13 years behind bars. Now, the 5-member panel was presided over by Mr. Justice Enin Iyaboa. Mr. Asante spent 13 years behind bars for a crime he never committed, but on January 26, 2017, he was acquitted and discharged by the Supreme Court after it held that his conviction and sentence had no basis in law. But now this story is of interest.
And he's giving 45,000 cedis.
Yes.
To go and do what with?
Compensation, and that
15 years?
Yes, all his salaries also be paid to him. This story is of interest to me because there are lots of people who are in prison or who are being detained because they don't have any access to any form of help. We had the Justice for All program. I don't know where
it's still going on. It's still going on. And what they do is that they go to prisons, they set up a court in the prison to release remand prisoners who've been there for unreasonable periods of time. But my concern is, how do you value 15 years spent in a prison?
Yeah.
Because he initially wanted about 7.3 million Ghana cedis in psychological and emotional damage, but the court said that the claimant could not satisfy evidential damage as he appeared a happy person. So because he seemed like a happy person,
but if
they threw that out of court.
Okay.
Let's move to Anas. Now, there's a couple
Yes.
of Anas stories.
If you go to the front page of the Daily Guide, Kennedy, Japan fights Anas. That story is on page 3 of the paper. It says that the fight between firebrand member of parliament for Asin Central, Kennedy Ohine Japan, and Anas Arimiao Anas has reached an alarming dimension with the splashing of Anas photographs on social media. Matters came to a head last week with the arrest of Kwesi Nyantechi, the Ghana Football Association president, and after an investigative piece by Anas and his Tiger IPI team allegedly captured the FA boss using the names of the vice president and the president and other top government officials. Now, Mr. Ejapon, who clearly does not appear to be enthused about Anas's modus operandi, has started questioning how the journalist, whose name apparently evokes fear in some people, conducts his investigation.
Now, the GJA on City Newsroom website is calling for 24-hour protection for Anas Arimayao Anas. According to a statement signed by the president, Afel Moni, the association has picked information about some life-threatening messages received by Anas. The statement says some unidentified persons have also been tracking Anas's office and other locations ostensibly to harm him. GJA condemned persons who posted pictures of other people they claimed were Anas, whose face were uncovered. Then there are a couple more here. My journal online, I'll fight off any attempt to destroy me or Anas Kokubako, editor-in-chief of New Crusading Guide, has warned detractors that he will fight off any attempt to destroy him and his partner, Anas Arimeyao Anas. Abdul Malik Bako was responding to allegations of crime and corruption leveled against him, an investigative journalist, by an outspoken legislator for Asin Central, Kennedy Ejepon. And the final one, leave Ghana for Togo if you can't stand Anas. MPP chairman fires back at Kennedy Ejepon. Ashanti Regional Vice Chairman of MPP Kwabena Nsenchere has fired back at Asin Central MP Kennedy Ejepon over his attacks on Anas. Now, speaking on Bajuam on Adom TV on Bajuam on Adom TV on Tuesday, he described Anas as a corrupt journalist who sets people up to destroy them. It follows Anas's latest expose. However, Mr. Nsenchere, who's regional coordinator of NADMO, says Mr. Ejepon should leave Ghana for Togo if he can't stand Anas's style of journalism. He told Inshira FM's host Kofi Asante that President Akufo-Addo promised to collaborate with people like Anas to fight corruption. He therefore wonders why Kennedy Ejepon, his fellow party member, is attacking the world-acclaimed journalist. All right, let's move to other stories. I think there's an NDC story we need to bring.
Yes.
Statesman says Rawlings Mills becomes choose Kwesi B. It's always interesting when Statesman reports on NDC or when maybe the Palava reports on MPP or something. It's very interesting.
Yes.
But this Kwesi B story is not going away.
It started on Monday.
It's still in the news.
It's gathering momentum.
And the paper says unassailable reports reaching the Daily Statesman indicate that key loyalists of former President Rawlings and the late President Mills's camps in opposition NDC are set to be unanimous in a decision to support Kwesi Boche to win the party's flag bearership contest. Other aspirants vying for the NDC flag bearer slot are Sylvester Mensah, Joshua Alabi, Ekospio Gabra, Alban Bagwin, and former President John Dramani Mahama. Insider sources say the unanimity of the decision is based on what they see as the need to unite the party and prevent a vote-splitting situation in which the former president might slip through to win the presidential slot.
Okay, let's go to the Daily Guide again. If you go to the front page, First Lady casts sword for Children's Hospital. Now, if you go to page 6, First Lady attacker in quotes freed. You know, yesterday the First Lady cast a sword at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, and at that event, a campaigner for Open UGMC walked towards Mrs. Akufo-Addo, drawing the suspicion of the security detail who whisked him away. Now, the Daily Guide, and also we have reported that he has been released by the Kolebu police station.
Yes. So he was protesting the continued closure of the University of Ghana Medical Center, which story we've been following for quite a bit on this network as well. So now let's move to other stories. AJ?
Well, coming into something on agric, and the Mexican government is supporting its Ghanaian counterpart with agriculture technology that fights against aflatoxin infections in maize production. So aflatoxin refers to a fungal contamination which occurs in foods such as granules, rice, and many others. So the Mexican ambassador to Ghana, who disclosed this when she was paying a courtesy call to the aviation minister, said the Mexican team was already working with Ghana with Ghanaian researchers in the northern region to deal with the fungal contamination.
Now, still on a Greek, Kwapa Cocoa MPA assemble experts to discuss Ghana's cocoa sector. Oh, we love this. Experts from various sectors of the economy. This is the Today newspaper. To assemble at Kempinski in Accra to discuss Ghana's cocoa sector. The event dubbed the Green Ghana Lecture Series, the first of its kind and put together by a cooperative of local farmers, who have in special attendance the UN advisor to the Secretary General on SDGs and a professor of Columbia University. And we are told that this will try and look at how we can improve the fortunes of our cocoa sector and in particular our cocoa farmers.
Page 29 of the Daily Graphic has a story we carried yesterday. Eastern Rail Line and Buankra projects, 15 companies shortlisted. Let me give you that story, then we'll go to the Malam Kaswa Road. The story says 15 construction companies, including 3 from Ghana, have been shortlisted for the redevelopment of the Eastern Rail Line and the development of the Buankra Inland Port projects. The Ghanaian companies are Medase Consortium, Afum Quality Limited, Itala Group, and Asusa Ghana Limited. The foreign companies, RailNet International, Frontline Capital, and other companies have been shortlisted, including those from China, the China Harbour Engineering Limited, China Gazu Group Limited, and China Road and Braid Corporation.
So when will they start building the thing? Charlie, these days I'm tired. Oh, every day something meeting Austria. Okay. Now they say 15 company. Charlie.
Yeah, Mexico too is helping us.
Charlie, wait, you either have the rail or you don't.
There are some deadlines given us. The minister says by end of year the coaches must be in town.
So what?
This one is about the companies that are going to, last month I read that advertorial, the government of Ghana and that of Cote d'Ivoire advertising that companies interested should bid.
So this is the number, 15
yes,
companies.
And 15 have been shortlisted. Now on the Buankra Inland Port, Mr. Gate said the project was initiated in 1990 by the GPHA, Ghana Standards Authority, to create an inland extension of the Tema Port, and that all is being done to ensure that these projects come into being. Now let's go to page 49 of the same newspaper. Malam Junction section of the Accra Kaswa Road reopens Saturday.
Okay, so we have one more day of traffic to endure.
Yes, so we are being told that the first two phases of the project are done, and we are halfway through the last phase in just 29 days. So by Saturday the road will be open. A section of it will be open so that motorists can.
Now let's go to the NIA story. That today has a story by Gottlieb Bach that Japan's $50 million Ghana card budget unrealistic according to the NIA. It says head of training at the National Education Authority Abudu Ganiyu has said claims that the National Identity Card program could be done at the cost of $50 million is not realistic. As since Central MP Kennedy Japan on Tuesday marveled at the $1.2 billion budget quoted by Professor Kenatifa led NIA for the production of the National ID card. Quizzing, are you mad? Now the NIA on Monday suspended the rollout of its limited registration exercise intended to have started that day over what the prof described as pure technical glitch. The Ghana card will cost a total of 1.2 billion cedis. The government of Ghana is contributing 531 million of that. The remaining 678 is coming from IMS, which is partnering the NIA in a PPP. Now speaking on Adom TV, Mr. Japan said the 1.2 billion is rubbish and that is too expensive. Now in a reaction, Mr. Abdul Ganiyu said his 50 million budget is unrealistic. We want him to provide his operational plan and technical component to ascertain whether or not he will be able to do a project at a cost of $50 million. We are recruiting 2,700 entry clerks, 10,000 registration officers in every region, and 2,700 commissioners of oath. We need to do this project in just 1 year, and trust me, $50 million cannot do the work that the government wants to do. His figure is not realistic.
Now the NDC has also been speaking about the NIA, and one of the key points they are making is that it's about the cost. The NDC says that they are alarmed at the cost of the project, which is 1.2 billion dollars, sorry, and that the president should look at the cost because he's been talking about protecting the public purse. Now they are also talking about the exclusion of voters ID in the registration, and the story is in the Daily Heritage. The story says the functional executive committee of the NDC is calling on the NIA to include voters ID cards to the list of documents required for the registration of the new Ghana card. The NIA has indicated that per the Act, which is Act 950, only passports and birth certificates will be needed for the creation of the Ghana card. And the NDC, in a statement issued by the General Secretary Johnson Esiedun Ketia and copied to the Daily Heritage, said the implementation of the provisions of the Act would deny the vast majority of the population the opportunity to acquire the card. But on this, the NIA said that they are going to have
well, we still have 6 outstanding questions which have not been answered. Why 1.2 billion? Who is paying? Of course, that one has been explained in terms of the split. But will it eventually be the Ghanaian taxpayer? How are we paying? That's the question. Why 15 years? Why 89 million cards? What procurement method was used? And the big question, what kind of card will be produced and how interoperable will it be?
Okay, so I was going to bring you 3 quick headlines, but let me do just one. In the foreign news section of the Ghanaian Times, a US preacher has asked his followers to help buy a 4th jet. So a US televangelist has asked his followers to help fund his 4th private jet because Jesus won't be riding in a donkey.
Charlie, thank you for that one. That was the newspaper review. Coming up next is the City Business News.
This is the Citi Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.
Honey, I'm off to run some
Kilometer. Total Exalium, the fuel that cleans your engine kilometer after kilometer. Total Exalium, the fuel that cleans your engine kilometer after kilometer. Total Excellium, the fuel that cleans your engine kilometer after kilometer. Total Excellium, the fuel that cleans your engine kilometer after kilometer.